Hey, I'm Katie,
And I'm JD.
and we are best friends who love to laugh.
And have fun. This is Katie and JD Laugh Out Loud.
Thanks for tuning in.
In this episode, we are chatting about communication, and that includes some fun stories about how miscommunication in the digital world occur. The art of conversation is a deep topic, and we are here to vent about it.
So, join in the convo and laughs with us.
This is Katie and JD Laugh Out Loud.
Welcome to Katie and JD Laugh Out Loud, the podcast, where we crack ourselves up and then chat about random things like stories. We've made it to our 9th episode, and girl, have we chatted about a lot.
Not to toot our own horn, but speaking of chatting, we have some people here that want to share grievances about communication issues.
Hey, hey, JD, it's just us.
I know, but we got to get to the heart of this issue, people. These people are us.
Oh, we're those people. So you have grievances with me?
No, about the other people we have grievances with, about the people that are we have troubles. We have troubles with different people,
Okay.
not ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and the way that they use their phones to communicate. What has this world come to? When will it be different? Why is
Okay? Stop. Okay,
What?
let's just talk about it. Okay, like I know we have some strong feelings, so let's just calm down and talk about it. Okay.
Okay. You're right.
I know.
There are just things that I need to get off of our chest. We need to get off our chest.
Okay.
Clearly, we have been wronged. The world is unclear about how to properly communicate.
Wait, wronged in what way? What are you talking about?
Well, it all
Oh,
started
no.
with ink and paper. People would think clear about their thoughts and put them on paper in ink, where they had to be correct and formal. And they didn't have to be speedy communication errors like we have today. Those were the simpler times.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Could we not? Like, we are not in olden times, girl. Like, just stop. Okay, stop. Like, they had their struggles too. Okay, the ink being wasted, paper being wasted.
I know.
I hate wasting paper. Save the trees.
I understand.
Save the trees.
But simpler still was when people spent time on their words for one another. They just really had good thoughts. And those thoughts are still here today because they were written on paper. Invitations were even on paper. And the responses, s'il vous plaît,
But
on paper.
Those are still on paper today, as far as I know. Like, invitations to a wedding, paper. Invitations
Sometimes.
to a kid's graduation party, paper.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always. So many people just text, "Hey, come to my party, yo."
They say yo?
Yeah, they say yo.
Oh my
and
gosh.
then where did the thought go? Where did the care go? They had to handwrite invitations and the envelopes. And even when people talked on the phone, they had to formally set aside time to have conversation with one another. Wasn't that just better?
You have like so much passion right now for paper writers. It sounds like, but okay, I remember just this year I sent out my birthday invites via Instagram because that's the new hip thing to do, right? You send your
you're the one that just said that people still put them on paper, and now you're telling me it's a new hip thing to put on.
It is a new hip thing to do. I'm just saying, like, you're all like, oh, the paper. And I'm like, people still do that, but not everybody. I'm saying people still do that. But I'm also saying that I just did the opposite. I sent an invite via Instagram and I got a couple responses and it was upsetting because I know that they saw it. Like I could see that they saw it. And that's the only reason why I sent it.
See? You're a victim.
That's the only reason why I sent it the way I sent it.
You've been victimed. You sent it electronically and they did not respond.
I know. And
there's no way that it got lost in the mail. You saw that they received it.
Exactly. That was the whole point of sending it via Instagram because I knew that they would see it.
It was also kind of late, close to the event date, so you had to get it.
Yeah, but people could have been like, some people would have like, oh yeah, I would totally come, and then
it'd be great if they said like, no, I'm not available, or whatever.
Other people were like, no, I can't make it. They like,
let's see on paper, they circle yes or no, and then that way you know. The other no.
Yes, but it's
KNOW.
I know, but
words matter.
Instagram is so instant.
So what? People don't respond instantly.
Instant messaging is supposed to be instant. Duh. Right away. I text you, you text me back. We're having a conversation. That's what you would think. However, people take days to reply. It's annoying. Days. Not just minutes, not just hours. Days. Tell us a story. So this one time, I sent out invitations for my parents' anniversary party. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just text it because then it won't get lost in people's emails and I'll have the message and the information right there in a text from me, from Law. So mm-hmm. I did. I messaged 10 different people maybe? I don't remember how many. Mm-hmm. The point is, I messaged all of them right about in the same time, right? I kept going, text, send, copy, repeat. Okay. I got back messages from 2 people right away. Mm-hmm. And then about 30 minutes later, 3 more people. Mm-hmm. And then maybe like 40 to an hour later, another person. And the last 2 people, one of them didn't reply till the next morning. Granted, this was like noon, like in the middle of the day. The next morning, someone replied. And then the last person, I was waiting and I was being patient. And I was like, maybe I have the wrong number. So I retexted them so it had been over 24 hours. Okay. It was like the evening of the next day. And I was like, let me resend a message out. Let me just say, oh, hey, I didn't know if you got my message. I'm looking for so-and-so, right? Yep. So the next morning, they responded, yeah, this is that person. I'm sorry, we can't come. And I was like, you could have just said that 24, almost 48 hours ago. And then I would have been done with my numbers and done. Yeah. But, it was the same exact message to all of them, an invitation. And I get it. Some of them had to talk to their spouses or whatnot. Cool. So they got back to me within the few hour window. That's fine. Yep. But a day later, 2 days later, it just felt ridiculous. It does. And it feels as though we're going backwards in time. Like, I understand that, people don't want to be on their phones a lot because we're dealing with all of this consumption all the time.
I mean, we're recording on a phone right now.
I know. And so, like, with that, it's like people might not... Because, like, for me and my phone, I have not allowed for text messages to pop up while I'm looking at something else. So I took away those notifications, those banners, because I have an iPhone, the best phone. And I took away those notifications where I would drop down and banner because I don't want to get distracted. And like if I'm doing something like sending an email or, looking at pictures or whatever, I don't want to like have things keep popping down on me. And I'm just like, oh, that's something else. Let me go there. And then, like, completely forget about what I was doing.
Yeah, and 10 hours later, you realize that you never went back to the original item.
Exactly. And then I end up with, like, 25 apps open because I kept clicking on the things that kept notifying.
Or 25 missed messages from your best friend who dropped your phone in the water.
It wasn't 25 messages. It was, like, maybe 10. I'm just saying. And it was between...
The point remains.
It was a conversation between you and...
You didn't have to get your phone at all, then you would have seen my text.
Well, no, that's not necessarily true because I have a watch, I have an iPad, I have a phone, I have a computer.
Touché.
It's like, sometimes, like, when the one day that you
and Rachel were texting back and forth, and I had my phone right there, but it was closed. Like, I wasn't using it, so it was closed off to the side. My watch felt like it was vibrating on acid. It was just buzz, buzz, buzz. I took off my watch because I was like, this is nuts. I thought if I'd open it up and just like have the message app open, and then I wouldn't get notified. I still got notified.
You still got notified?
Because my phone would close off. It was like,
fell asleep.
It fell asleep. And I was just like, why is my watch? So I took off my watch. I was like, I have to take off my watch. Because I'm sitting here at work and y'all are texting so much back and forth. It was like
in the same room.
Well, you guys weren't in the same room.
It would have been funny though.
But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we do that. We'll text in the same room.
Yeah, it happens.
Texting in the group chats and all that.
But the point is that it used to be instant messaging was if you wanted something that you wanted to reply right now. An email was what if you wanted a reply later or whatnot.
Exactly.
So instant messaging used to be message them, we get back.
Yep.
You even had to be literally online to receive messages, right?
Yeah.
So then it was, we can have a conversation right now. And then it was like, all right, bye, talk to you later. I'll talk to you soon. Maybe I'll be back on at this time. I got to go have dinner, whatever.
Yeah.
Which is what I used to treat texting as too, was like, have a conversation. Okay, good night. Okay, whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah. The end of conversation.
Always ended with, all right, I'll talk to you later.
Right.
Yeah.
And end it.
TTYL.
But now texts go on for days and hours and unending because there's no beginnings and ends of them. And texting is very different than instant messaging. However, people email you and think you are going to be ready to respond right now and immediately.
Right.
They expect you to respond.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit harsh, in my opinion, because personally, I don't have my emails come to the front screen as notifications.
Mm-hmm.
They just like pop up on the lock screen on my fancy iPhone. They come up in the lock screen notifications. There's no sounds with it. There's no numbers on my little icons. I don't like numbers on icons. So I don't do that. I don't do banners, drop down, nothing.
Yeah.
I have to go in intentionally and go to my email and check and see if I have any emails.
Mm-hmm.
And then happen to find or happen upon one that is important.
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Sometimes I don't.
Because it's sometimes what I find for me in my emails is that a lot of the time it's spam. So I don't want to go and check my email anymore.
Right.
Checking emails sucks.
It's terrible.
It's not great.
No.
But yeah.
And you don't get as many text messages that are spam. As many. I try and opt out as much as possible.
With instant messaging, I remember I was on AIM. I was on Messenger for Outlook before it was Outlook. Mm-hmm. It was like, what was it? It was like, it wasn't Hotmail, but it was something with a little blue big-headed thing. I think it was just called Messenger. It might have just been called Messenger back then. Before
Facebook Messenger?
Before Facebook Messenger. It was like Messenger or MSN. MSN Messenger.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I remember. I would go on, see who's online.
Someone else was online.
You could be online. You could be on secret mode. You could,
and that's
invisible mode or whatever.
That's what it feels like they're kind of turning like Instagram DMs into, because they have the little like thing where you can put your status and then you could show if you're online or not. Like when you're on there, you see other people that are online.
Definitely.
By their little icons, right? So then you're like,
the green dot.
Oh, other people are online. Oh, I could chat with them. But I haven't done that personally. But then you put your little post your feelings or whatnot. Uh-huh. It feels like they're kind of trying to make it that vibe on there.
Yeah, because that's how it was.
Don't you feel that way?
That's how it was back in the day when it was on AIM. You put your little status or whatever, like, oh, I'm doing this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And now that's the same thing.
And then it switched to being a Facebook status. Yeah. And I remember there was at one point where I would constantly be going on Facebook to post my status and tell other people what I'm doing right now. Why do they need to know?
They needed to know.
They didn't need to know.
They obviously needed to know.
They didn't need to know the need to know. The need to know is that I could talk to them or not talk to them. Why did I have to tell the world that I was going to ride my scooter down the street or walk my dog. Or
we were older than that. We couldn't have been like, oh, I'm gonna go ride my scooter. That wasn't part of our status. Did you ever write that as your status for real?
well, my electric scooter.
Oh, your electric scooter.
Yeah, my
You're
motorized
fancy.
like the real scooter.
You're so fancy.
You know, the one I drive to work.
Oh my god, you're so fancy. Oh.
Yeah, I want to ride that thing again.
Does it even work?
It can.
Where is it? Is it at your house?
It's at my parents' house.
And you think it still works?
It can.
It can work. You're confident.
Yes. It wasn't broken when I stopped driving it. I just stopped driving it, so it needs a little cleaning and TLC, and then it could work again. Yeah.
Maybe I should use it because I only go right here and there.
True.
I don't need no big car
hair.
for that. I don't need no big car to go from my job to my house because we're so close.
No, but you could get a little like mail backpack so you can go to the bank.
I just like
With
park
your
the car
little-
here and then like, oh, I'm gonna scoot to the bank.
You just like, I'm gonna go on my scooter to the bank, and then you go in the drive-through, and then you get your little backpack. Okay, here you go.
I feel like they would laugh at me. They would just.
We
be
could
like,
turn one of those cabins in the back as your shed for the bike.
Ooh.
And then we could park our actual bicycles in there.
We don't have actual bicycles. You have actual bicycles.
Yeah, I have a wonderful bicycle, and I'd love to have it at my apartment, but I can't.
I need a bicycle. Oh my gosh, I need a bicycle.
I need to exercise more, and I feel like having a bicycle would encourage me.
Yeah, but you had a bicycle at your house, and you still
But I
didn't use
can't
that
have
much.
it because there's nowhere to go.
It doesn't matter. You could just go around the street, like the block.
I'm saying we can't have them at our apartment because there's nowhere to keep them safe.
I know.
I'm not bringing them in the
so
house.
sad. But we could leave them outside. Just you could tie them up somehow. There's a guy that has a bike that's covered by his
No.
house.
I know.
And Arthur goes over there all the time and pees on it. That's the only reason why I know it's there. Is because our dog goes over there and pees on it. And I'm like, why are you peeing on the people on bike? And he's like, he's not like anything because he can't talk.
You can't see the face she made when she was saying he's like, but it was funny.
It's just like he can't talk, so what's the point? Anyway,
Table talk with Jude and Keith.
how did we start this conversation? Didn't
Instant
start-
messaging.
Instant messaging. Yeah.
Because we're talking about making plans with people and how they don't reply.
Ugh, making plans. Making plans are so hard nowadays, especially because you can make plans. Like me and you, we can make a plan, say we're gonna do it, and do it. But if we had like Tom, Dick, and Harry in on the conversation, and Tom, Dick, and Harry could be female or male, doesn't matter. They're in the conversation. And they're like, "Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's plan it." And then you got Jan A and Jan B, and then you have Michelle, and then you have like I gotta bring this person. I gotta bring my cousin Tony. I'm like, who's Tony? I don't know Tony. Do you know Tony?
What about my cousin Vinny?
Oh my
Can he
gosh.
come too?
He can come as well, right? Even
What's your point?
my babysitter. Let's bring them all. My point is that people will make all these plans and say, yes, we're all coming. And then as soon as we get close to the day, it's like, oh,
Drop
you
it like
lost
hotcakes.
Tom, you lost Dick, you lost Harry. Is that a book? I don't know.
Tom, Dick, and Harry.
It's just the same. Like, oh, Tom, Dick, and Harry.
I
They're
thought
coming.
that was in a book.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. But either way, the point is that making plans is so hard nowadays. So when people don't instant message you back and be like, hey, I have an idea or I have someplace that I want to go. What do you think? This is just in the works or whatever. And you're like, yeah, sure. This is a great plan, but the problem is like, okay, how long has this plan been in effect? It's like, okay, this one person said, I'm doing this. You can either join me or not join me. Then someone says, hey, this person is doing this. Did you hear about it? I'm like, no, I didn't hear about it. What's up? What's going on? Well, I'm thinking I want to go. I'll let you know. A couple days go by. Then you're like, what's
Didn't
going
let
on?
me
You didn't let me know. I don't know. I told all these other people and they got to get back to me. So, then you're sitting there like, oh my gosh, why do I have to get back to
What
you?
were we watching?
Oh my gosh.
Where they had to do the phone tree to remind people of the rehearsal. The Wonder Years.
Yes.
And I was like, phone tree. Dang. Like, you have to call somebody, then that person calls somebody else, then that person calls, and it continues on. And it was brilliant.
It was not brilliant. It did not work out for them at all.
In certain situations, it's a workable thing.
I don't think
But
so.
for the way that they tried it, it didn't work. But still,
I don't know that would work today. Like if I say, hey, I'm calling you, now you got to call Tom. And they're like, okay, I'll call Tom. So Jane is calling Tom. But what if Jane doesn't call Tom? If one person doesn't call the next person, the
chain breaks.
The chain breaks.
Yep. You have to have a lot of very reliable people in
Got to have
this
some
situation.
people that can be relied on.
My point is that the new instant messaging is not texting.
What's the new instant messaging?
Calling them up on the phone. Because you are guaranteed to have a conversation if you can call somebody on the phone and they pick up.
That's an instant message?
Yes.
But it's not a message. It's an actual...
That is the moral of the story, though. Because, listen, Linda. If somebody is texting,
yeah,
the easiest way to get down to the bottom of the story or to tell them all of the information at once is to pick up the phone.
Yeah, but
so
what
people pick up your phones.
What if they don't answer? Then what?
Then you can call them back.
But then you still have to wait, because I have had experiences where I'd call and sometimes I'd leave a message. Or I'd call because they just called me and I'm like, oh, they just called me. Let me call them back.
Sometimes if I call someone and they don't answer.
Yeah.
I send a text and just say, I was calling to talk about this. Call me back.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Do they call you back?
It's pretty much 99% of the time.
I should do that more often. But I don't call a lot of people, so it doesn't matter.
No, but more people should be calling people because like I was talking about today, like face-to-face and talking conversations are important. They are important to human. They are important to have human interaction. And when you're texting someone, you just don't get the same type of messaging across and you don't get their full attention and their full brain because you're just getting a blurb of their response back to you. They might not have even fully read your message. They just responded. That doesn't mean that they actually heard you or know what you said.
I know.
But if you can have a full conversation with them verbally, in person, or on the phone, then you can get these messages across.
I understand what you're saying. And I
it's
understand
the most important way to communicate.
It is a very good way to communicate, especially talking in person, period. Talking in person, period, has a lot of benefits.
Yes.
Talking on the phone, I might be distracted. Like if I'm on the phone, I'm looking at all kinds of things.
Yes.
You know, it's true. Sometimes I'm very focused and I'm like, okay, this person has something really important to tell me. Or I'm like, if they're just telling me nonsense, I'm pretty, I'm like, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not really.
I'm not always paying attention.
No, but and it's the same amount as if I was texting you and then.
Not necessarily, because at least with texting, I can read it and I'm like.
Reference back to it.
Oh, I can reference, this is what you actually said. If I'm trying to listen to you, I don't always like hear everything because maybe something in my head, this is just a me. This might not be anybody else. This is just me. I know that when we talk or when you're trying to tell me a story, whether I am like looking at my phone, looking at my computer, or even looking at you, my brain is already like thinking a million miles a minute where I'm just kind of like, did I do this today? Did I do that today? Is this supposed to happen? I wonder about this kind of thing. But you know that I talk to you about that all the time. I was like, you're like, what am I thinking? I'm like, oh, I just was thinking about something that has nothing to do with what you just told me. But
right,
you know, that's just me. Like I am.
That's how your brain works.
That's how my brain works.
So see, are you going to say more?
I was going to say that like with talking on the phone, it kind of feels like we're going back in time a bit.
Yeah.
Because before texting, before cell phones, you had a house phone. You call someone on the house phone to talk to them.
Yeah.
And, you know, spend that time on the phone.
Yeah, more people should be like sending text messages and saying, hey, I want to talk to you. Call me at this time.
That makes sense.
And see if that person's available.
That works.
Because that's what we used to do. We'd be in school and we're like, oh yeah, call me at this time or whatever. Like when you're in person, you make a agreement of when you're going to talk on the phone later.
Or when you and Rachel would plan to talk.
Or if you talk on the walkie-talkies, then you're cool too. My point is,
I was gonna say, hold your point really quick. I was gonna say that when you said to call and make a plan to talk later, or to say you got to call me back at this time, that's the truth. Because when we first had phones, I don't know if it was with you, but for me, you could only call after 9 o'clock.
Well, that too.
Or 7 o'clock, either 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Either way,
yeah,
it was like it was free calls.
Nights and weekends. It was 9 o'clock and weekends.
Oh my gosh, it was like
the weekends we could talk all day.
I was like, what are teenagers doing talking after 9 p.m.? There's nothing to talk about after 9
Their
p.m.
communication skills are horrific.
Oh, but that's how I felt. Like when I was in high school and I could only talk after 9 p.m. I was like,
but I was able to occupy my time before that.
I had to do homework.
Yeah, mostly with homework or hanging out with my siblings or something, or just
I didn't really
chilling.
have my siblings. Both my siblings went to school in a different city, so I would be at home by myself when I was able to be at home by myself. But what was
you explained how your brain works when you're on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Or even having a verbal conversation with someone, and you like the text because you can refer back to the information.
Yes.
Which is totally legit, and some people are built that way.
Yeah.
For me, my brain is going a mile a minute when things are like quiet or I'm just listening to music. Like when I'm driving or in the shower or cooking in the kitchen, like that's when my brain is reeling with when, what, where, why, how, and whatnots.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I'm having a verbal conversation with someone, that is me fully processing the information I am an auditory learner. So I am listening to everything that is said, processing it and figuring it out and trying to come up with a response verbally. So that's how my brain works. Does that make sense to you?
It does make sense to me because I'm a visual learner. I like learning by seeing something. If I see something once, I usually can pick it up pretty quickly and then I could do it. So yeah, I'm visually, auditory, and like, that's why like whenever I think all the time though, like, I'm thinking in the shower. That's how I come up with most of my ideas. I'm thinking while on the toilet, while I'm scrolling,
When you're talking in a conversation, you do come up with a lot of ideas because ideas spark in the middle of a conversation and then we start recording episodes like this. This is a big example of how your brain works because we were having lunch and we were talking. And then you started talking about something and you go, we should record this. And then we started recording.
And then we started talking about a whole lot of other things.
Yeah, because this is a whole episode.
It really is.
I started thinking of this whole other part in my head.
What other part?
So I was like, when I was talking about like phone calls and stuff,
mm-hmm.
I was going to start talking about how in the Parent Trap they had to go in the closet to talk on the phone. So be intentional with your responses. Why'd you do this? I was giving a space because I know you like a space.
I didn't do
and then
anything.
You were like, what's the big deal, Jude?
I didn't do anything.
And then you made me laugh.
Oh
you put your hand up and made me laugh.
Just do it.
Here's our ending.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, it's true. We come up with a lot of ideas and they might be, in the middle of something else. And so then we have to write it down. We have to really focus on it and put it in different areas. So it's in our notes, it's in our documents, it's on notepads. I have things written on my desk at work. It's just, the ideas are everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we need to communicating with people properly,
communicating with dogs,
coming up with ideas, communicating with your animals,
mm-hmm.
with people, with your vehicles, with your doctors. Be proper, people. Be proper and be respectful. Communicating with your teachers, communicating with your bosses. It needs to be done properly.
It needs to be done properly.
And it really does.
For heaven's sake, if people invite you to something, just say yes or no.
Yes, be intentional with your responses.
Be intentional with your responses. Respond to people who message you, especially people you know and care about.
That is such a good point. Exactly. Because conversations don't just end anymore. For example, this one we're going to continue this conversation all by ourselves off the air.
Yes, because we have a lot to talk about when it comes to communication.
It's true.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different ways to communicate with people.
Oh yeah, we communicate with each other in so many different ways. We got
Yeah.
Snapchat, we've got Instagram, we've got TikTok now, we've got messaging, we've got email,
We've got shared documents.
we've got shared. There's never enough
shared albums.
We've got WhatsApp. There's never enough areas in our life where we are not communicating with one another. We communicate through.
But wouldn't it
eyeballs.
be so interesting to be back to simpler times where we could only communicate in the closet under the staircase with our friends from camp?
Oh, like the Parent Trap?
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, that's my friend from camp. You know, we just talk to your friend in the closet. It's all the rage.
All the rage.
and what's her name was talking to her. Annie was making phone calls in the bathroom. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely had conversations in the bathroom. Like if I had to
like that's your only private area.
Yeah, because my room isn't that private. If like I don't know why my room
usually go
wasn't
outside,
as private as
I had a lot more outside space.
You had a lot more outside space than I did.
But also like when I would walkie-talkie my best friend Rachel, there was no privacy there.
2 episodes ago.
It's just straight up in the walkie-talkie, so
I know
everyone can hear it.
But I mean, okay, so yes. Okay, paper responses though, that's a little steep for people. Like that's not, people are still doing that, but
okay,
it's not the go-to
getting
way
mail
to do it.
So exciting? Like, okay, our 7-year-old niece, she is so excited about mail and letters. She sent me a letter in the mail. It is the most precious little thing, and I'm working on my response back, and I need to send her a letter back. But I have to think about what I'm going to write down and then mail her a letter back because she wants to get mail. It's so cute.
It is so cute. And she's 7, so she doesn't have a phone like some other 7-year-olds.
It's true. But that's just it. It's like, shouldn't we be more excited to be able to talk to somebody that we can wait for a piece of mail to come?
I don't know, because you can't even wait until you could send me 100 messages like I think I said earlier, and you were like, well, why aren't you texting me back? You sound like the chick from Mean Girls.
Why aren't you texting me back? I sent you a message and I asked you a question and you didn't answer me. Like the other day when I was driving home from class and I told Siri to send you a message. And I'm like, well, she knows I'm driving, so clearly she's going to respond to my text because if I'm texting her while I'm driving, then she knows that's important.
So apparently we are grieving with each other.
Oh, man. But we already talked about this.
We can rectify it. We'll talk about it after the show.
I'll talk to you later. I'll text you later.
But yes, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yes,
we're
true.
in a different time. Like, if people don't text back, sometimes it's not a big deal. Like, I don't have to talk to certain family members all the time, but that doesn't mean that they don't, that we don't care about one another. We just don't chat as much. So that's why I was like, messages. I think the only grievance that I really have is which is what I was talking about earlier, is just like how certain people communicate at work, and that was it. It was a communication at work. Like it wasn't, and it wasn't like. And for me, with the
mass invitation communication problem.
Exactly. So
because it's hard, and it's easier to send an invitation electronically, thinking, "Oh, I'll get a response," right? It doesn't always happen though.
Yeah, that's why you got to send follow-ups and follow-ups and follow-ups and follow-ups, because our attention is just so stretched.
It is.
So
it is. That's a good point.
Something to think about.
So people, tell us about your communication grievances.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening to our show.
Yeah. Also, we're on so many different social media platforms.
Oh yeah, we are.
Check out our link tree in the description. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on so many different platforms, YouTube, X, whatever you want.
It's there.
Like we want to hear your stories about life and different things.
And we're on like so many podcast platforms as well. Like
Podcast.
What did I say?
Podcast.
What is that?
I don't know.
Speaking of communication, my words are slurred, so clearly my communication skills. Why is there so many L's in my words?
Okay, we're gonna call it because
you know what I'm trying to say.
I
Can
do
you
know
say
what
the
you're
thing
saying.
about the podcast places that
We
you
are
watch
on
episodes?
so many different
listen.
platforms. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. We're on Castbox. We're on YouTube.
So subscribe,
Share,
and enjoy a good laugh.
Thanks for tuning in. This has been K and D and J D Laugh Out Loud, the podcast. We'll talk to you next time. Peace out.